A police officer pulls out a gun on an 8-year-old child, thinking the 8-year-old child is a grown man that the cop is looking for. Let me give you the video first and we'll get into it. Here it is.
You are hearing the screams of an 8-year-old child screaming for help from cops.
Pulls out a weapon on an 8-year-old. Put up the picture. You see that small child?
Deuteronomy 28:49. The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand, a nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the young.
On your mother says her 8-year-old son is traumatized after Sacramento police officers held them at gunpoint after mistaking the 8-year-old child for a teenage suspect wanted on 2 felonies. Keep that picture up.
The police officer, who's a detective now, meaning they went to school and got education and were qualified for their position, is now saying that a child was compared to a suspect that's almost the age of an adult, a teenager. You can't make this stuff up. This is America, y'all.
For their show of force toward her child. Let me give you details of what happened. Officers from the Sacramento Police Department pulled over Ms. Stewart and her son, Brandon, while they were on their way to a football practice. This was October 17th at about 5 p.m. As soon as she was stopped, officers pulled out their firearm. Quote, I looked in the rearview mirror, and that's when I noticed the police officers had their guns out, Stewart said to KCRA. They had them aimed towards the car. So I listened to their instructions to toss my keys out of the window, open my door with my left hand, and get out slowly with my hands in the air. She added, I just followed instructions. Now remember, during this time, this is the time that's likely the most dangerous, because if one cop says, oh, I thought they were reaching for a weapon, and they start shooting and kill both, well, guess what? According to the Supreme Court, they get to go home. It's a subjective standard for police officers, as long as they say they felt their lives were in jeopardy. They can be wrong. It is not objective for them. It is subjective for them. There's more. While they were detained, now remember the insanity here, they still proceeded with detaining clearly a baby, 8 years of age. While they were detained, the officers informed her that her son, they suspected of being involved in various criminal activity. Stewart was taken aback as more law enforcement agents arriving in at least 3 additional cars. And then they brought in the helicopter for the 8-year-old. Okay? They brought in the helicopter, joined the officers that initially stopped her. Put up the picture again. Okay.
Listen to how the Bible describes the spirit of imperialism in the United States of America. Psalms 94 verse 20. Shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee, which frameth mischief by a law? Meaning what? The United States, the same government structure, forms mischiefs by their law. Forms mischief by their law. They utilize their law, as in law enforcement, to persecute the poor, innocent people of the earth. Watch this. This was an 8-year-old, y'all, harassed by cops. Wisdom of Solomon chapter 2. For the ungodly saying, reasoning within themselves, verse 10, Let us oppress the poor and righteous man. Let us not spare the widow, nor reverence the ancient gray hairs of the age. Let our strength be the law of justice, for that which is feeble is found to be nothing worth. That's how they feel about American citizens. That's how they feel about blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. They do not care. At this point, it's time to leave America. At this point, leave Babylon the Great, the most wicked empire in the world.
During the stop, her son started to shout. Why was he shouting? He was worried about his mother. He wasn't worried about himself. He was worried about his mom. And asked the officers not to take his mother away. In the post, she said she feared for her son's life because the police insisted he fit the description of the suspect. The son also was afraid for the mother's life. He can be heard in the video screaming to his mother, "Please don't leave. Please wait." So the police eventually admitted officers made a mistake releasing this official statement. They read in part. Here it is. From a distance, officers observed a juvenile who they believed to be a wanted suspect. All windows on the sides and back of the vehicle were heavily tinted. Based on the information regarding firearm history, a high-risk stop was initiated. They realized the juvenile in the vehicle was not the wanted suspect. And at that point, the high-risk stop was ended. We must acknowledge that in this instance, a mistake was made.
How many mistakes they're going to make unaliving, deleting, mutilating, mistreating black people, Hispanic people. Wake up. Wake up from the Eurocentric delusionalism. They don't like you. Get out of America.
You're involved somewhere here. Definitely. Because the emotional distress created in this situation, and then their explanation, well, it was high risk. It was a high risk arrest or high risk whatever. It was still high risk when they detained them. Clearly, one of your guys can see this is an 8-year-old kid. Clearly, they said this is a child. This person is 8 years old. That nobody removed the handcuffs or stopped the insanity at that point. So let's put up the chief. Buck stops with Kathy Lester. Per People, the department said investigation into the incident is underway. All right. Don't hold your breath.
The voice of them that flee and escape out of the land of Babylon, to declare in Zion the vengeance of the Lord our God, the vengeance of his temple. The God of the Bible is calling out to you to flee out of the land of Babylon. I'm declaring to you, Zion, you blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans, leave out of America so God can show his vengeance. His vengeance. We're no longer going to be praying for our enemies. We're no longer going to pray for peace. We're no longer shouting no justice, no peace. It's time for God's vengeance. It's time for God to handle the wicked, just like he handled ancient Egypt, just like he handled the Babylonians, just like he handled Sodom and Gomorrah, with fire, with judgment, with plagues. Stop playing with these people, man. Stop hugging them. Stop kissing them. Stop trying to be friendly with them. Leave Babylon the Great, the United States of America. The only reason God is putting protection on the land is because you are in it. Once you leave, God will send his judgment. Get out of America. Get out of Babylon. Don't deal with it no more. Flee out of Babylon. Escape for your life. They classify American citizens now as terrorists. You waiting for them to throw you in Guantanamo Bay? like they did the Muslim people? Wake up.